Before the white coat and hospital duties, you must pass this gatekeeper. This video will break down the Nmat, destroy the fear, and provide a roadmap to the 99+ percentile. Stick around for the single game-changing golden rule tip at the end that statistically skyrockets your score.
First things first, what exactly is this beast? The Nmat is a standardized exam designed to upgrade the selection of applicants seeking admission to Philippine medical schools. Think of it as the great equalizer. It doesn't matter if you graduated summa cum laude in biology or if you barely survived a degree in creative writing. Everyone takes the same test. The exam is administered by the Center for Educational Measurement, or CEM, and it's split into two major parts. Part 1 is mental ability, and Part 2 is academic proficiency. Since 2020, we've moved into the future with the online Nmat, which means you can take this life-determining exam from the comfort of your bedroom, provided your bedroom meets the strict Mission Impossible security standards required by the proctors. Now, knowing what the test is won't help you if you get disqualified before you even sit down. This next part is boring, but deadly. Mess this up and your medical journey ends before it begins.
The logistics. Let's talk about the logistics, because nothing kills a dream faster than a technicality. Registration is done entirely online. You need a valid email, a digital photo that isn't a selfie. Seriously, keep the duck face for Instagram. This needs to be professional. And your transcript of records. You also need to pay the registration fee, which is around 1,900 pesos for local exams, or $60 if you're abroad. Here is the kicker regarding the tech requirements. The test does not work on MacBooks, iPads, or Chromebooks. You need a Windows laptop or desktop, Windows 8.1 or higher. If you are a die-hard Apple user, it is time to borrow your cousin's chunky Windows laptop for a day. You also need a working webcam and microphone because a human proctor and an AI system will be watching you to make sure you aren't consulting with Dr. Google. All right, paperwork is sorted and your laptop is ready. Now, let's open up the actual exam booklet, metaphorically speaking, and tackle the section that most people underestimate at their own peril.
Part 1, mental ability. The IQ test you can study for. Now, let's dive into the belly of the beast. Part 1, mental ability. This section is 2 hours and 15 minutes long and contains 120 items. Do not sleep on this section. A lot of people think, oh, it's just an IQ test. I'll wing it. Do not wing it. Part 1 consists of verbal, inductive reasoning, quantitative, and perceptual acuity. For verbal, you are looking at analogies and reading comprehension. The secret here is that you need to read fast. You don't have time to savor the literature, scan for keywords, and understand the main idea. It measures your inferential and analytical abilities, so you are looking for the logic behind the text, not just facts. If you thought the reading part was draining, wait until you see the shapes. This next subtest usually freaks people out, but I promise there's a pattern to the madness if you know where to look.
Mastering the abstract, inductive reasoning. This is where you look at weird shapes and numbers and try to guess what comes next. It's basically pattern recognition on steroids. You'll see figure series, figure grouping, and number-letter series. The trick here isn't to be a genius, it's to find the simplest rule. Is the shape rotating clockwise? Is the number increasing by 2? Don't overcomplicate it. If your explanation for the pattern involves a 5-step conspiracy theory, you are probably wrong. A great tip from successful examinees is to treat the letter series by converting letters into numbers. A is 1, B is 2, etc. to see the mathematical gaps more clearly. Okay, you've mastered the abstract shapes. Now, we have to deal with the one subject that makes aspiring doctors cry: math without a calculator. Don't click away. I have a strategy for this.
the math struggle, quantitative reasoning. Next up in part 1 is quantitative. This is math, but here's the catch. Calculators are strictly prohibited. You have to do everything manually. This section tests fundamental operations, problem solving, and data interpretation. You need to be a wizard at estimation and mental math tricks. If you see a problem asking for 49% of 502, don't try to calculate that exactly. Just do 50% of 500 and find the closest answer. Time is your enemy here. Review your basic arithmetic, fractions, percentages, and algebra. If you are stuck on a question for more than a minute, guess and move on. You cannot afford to let one algebra problem ruin your medical career. Survive the math? Good, but don't blink because this final boss of part 1 is going to test your eyes until they water. Here is how to handle the visual overload.
Visual fatigue, perceptual acuity. The final boss of part 1 is perceptual acuity. This tests your visual sharpness. You'll be looking at hidden figures, mirror images, and identifying identical information. It sounds easy, like a Find Waldo game. But doing it under time pressure will melt your brain. A solid hack for the identical information subtest, where you have to find the exact match of a sentence among choices, is to skip reading the original sentence entirely. Just look at the answer choices and find the one that is different from the others, or compare them two at a time. It exploits the flaw that there is usually only one error character in the wrong choices. I promised a big final tip. Everyone focuses on biology/chemistry, thinking it's real medicine. However, the Nmat uses percentile ranking, grading you against others. The big tip: know which section offers the best study ROI. Most study the wrong things. Hold that thought on the secret strategy. First, we have to survive the afternoon session. The sciences. This is where the sheer volume of information tries to crush you.
Part 2, academic proficiency, science overload. Moving on to part 2, academic proficiency. This is the afternoon session, lasting 1 hour and 30 minutes for another 120 items. You have biology, physics, chemistry, and social science. Let's break them down. Biology is high yield. You need to know cell biology, genetics, anatomy, and physiology. Do not just memorize facts. Understand processes. Know your central dogma, DNA to RNA to protein. Genetics problems with Punnett squares are almost guaranteed to show up, so practice those until you can do them in your sleep. Biology is usually comfortable for us bio majors, right? Well, get ready to be uncomfortable because we are moving to the subject that makes most med techs and nurses want to quit.
Physics. Physics is often the most feared subject. But here's the good news. Physics is conceptual. You don't need calculus. You need to understand relationships. If force doubles, what happens to acceleration? Remember, F equals ma. Memorize the basic formulas for kinematics, gravity, and circuits, but focus on how the variables interact. You will see questions on motion, energy, and electricity. A lot of students skip physics calculations because they panic. If you just master the units and dimensional analysis, you can sometimes guess the right answer just by looking at whether the unit is in joules or newtons. If you survive the forces and motion, you aren't out of the woods yet. We need to mix some chemicals, and then we're going to talk about the underdog subject that can actually save your school.
Chemistry and social science, the finishing blows. Chemistry covers general chem, organic chem, and a bit of biochem. You need to balance equations, understand the periodic table trends, electronegativity, ionization energy, and know your gas laws. For organic chemistry, don't memorize every single reaction mechanism. Focus on functional groups and basic naming conventions. It's about breadth, not depth. Then there is social science. It covers sociology, psychology, and anthropology. Many science majors ignore this, which is a huge mistake because it's often easier to score points here than in physics. Review basic concepts like operant conditioning, social institutions, culture, and family structures. Okay, that is a mountain of content. The million-peso question is, do you tackle this mountain alone, or do you pay for a guide? Let's break down your options.
Review centers versus self-study. Now, let's talk about how to actually study for this thing. You have two main paths: self-study or review center. If you have the budget, you have to choose your weapon wisely. Learn Fast is like the premium gym membership of Nmat Review. It's pricey, but they are famous for testmanship skills, teaching you how to arrive at the answer without necessarily knowing the deep science behind it. Their mock exams are notoriously close to the real thing. If you are a science major who just needs a quick refresher, Uplink is fantastic. They are fast-paced, academic, and their materials are top-notch, though non-science majors might find them a bit overwhelming. If you are a working student or on a budget, B-Witz is a crowd favorite. They offer a fully asynchronous program with practice sets that students swear are high-yield, meaning the questions appear almost identically on the actual test. Then there is 1010 Academy, which is perfect if you have a short attention span. They use a canal, or informal humor style that keeps you awake, though some find the jokes distracting. Finally, if you want mentorship and a balanced pace without the burnout, look into Kudos Test Prep, formerly SICAT. They focus on guiding you through the process rather than just dumping information on you. Whether you paid thousands for a review center or you're studying in your pajamas for free, none of it matters if your brain leaks like a sieve. Here is the science of how to actually remember what you read.
Study smarter. The landscape of studying has evolved from passive reading to interaction-based learning. Passive rereading creates a fluency illusion. You recognize the text, so you think you know it, but you don't. Instead, you need active recall and retrieval practice. Use the blank page or blurting method. Read a section, close the book, and write down everything you remember from scratch. This forces your brain to reconstruct knowledge, creating durable memory traces. Combine this with spaced repetition. Use AI-driven tools like Anki or Quizlet to schedule reviews at increasing intervals. 1 day, 3 days, 1 week. Just as you're about to forget, you also need to treat AI as your cognitive partner, not just a search engine. Use Socratic prompting. Instead of asking AI for the answer, prompt it to ask you questions. Tell it, quiz me on the Krebs Cycle, and challenge my assumptions. This turns your study session into a relentless graduate seminar that deepens your critical thinking. Use tools like Perplexity for research that actually cites sources, and Otter.ai to transcribe lectures so you never miss a detail. And don't forget your physical environment. Treat it like a mechatronic system. Use circadian lighting. Adopt the 28-2 ergonomic rhythm, 20 minutes sitting, 8 minutes standing, and 2 minutes moving to keep your metabolic health and focus sharp. Finally, combat digital burnout with friction-based strategies like turning your phone to grayscale or using lockboxes during deep work. You have the knowledge locked in, but can you execute it when a webcam is watching your every move? Let's talk about game day strategy and the art of guessing.
Mastering the environment and testmanship. Speaking of the whiteboard, since this is an online exam, you are allowed a small whiteboard or a transparent sheet with a marker for scratch work. Get used to this. It feels very different from writing on paper. You cannot encircle things on the screen, so you need to train your eyes to track information without physically touching the test. Also, manage your environment. Tell your family, your dog, and your neighbors that you are taking the exam. If someone walks into the room or there is loud noise, the proctor might flag you. We also need to discuss the testmanship skills. This is the art of taking the test. Since there is no penalty for guessing, never leave an item blank. If you have 1 minute left and 5 questions to go, pick a letter of the day, like C, and spam it for the remaining items. Also, use the process of elimination. Usually, two options are obviously wrong. If you can cross those out, you have a 50-50 chance. That is way better odds than a blind guess. For perceptual acuity hidden figures, hold your pencil up to the screen to measure lines and angles. It's a primitive tool, but it works. You made it. You have the logistics, the content, and the techniques. But I promised you the golden rule. The one thing that statistically separates the average from the 99th percentile. Here is the secret weapon.
The big final tip. Okay, we are nearing the end, which means it is time for the big final tip. I told you earlier that people focus on the wrong things. Here is the secret. Mastering Part 1, Mental Ability, is the easiest way to boost your Nmat percentile rank. Here is why. Part 2, Science, is content heavy. The range of what they can ask in biology or physics is massive. You could study for months and still see a question about a plant hormone you've never heard of. But Part 1 is finite. There are only so many ways they can ask a number series or a mirror image question. The skills in Part 1 are highly trainable through repetition. Most med school applicants are science majors. They are all studying biology and chem. They are all going to do decent in Part 2. Where do they fail? They crash and burn in Part 1 because they are not used to inductive reasoning or perceptual acuity under time pressure. If you can get a high score in Part 1 while doing average in Part 2, your overall percentile will skyrocket because you are outperforming the majority in the section they neglected. So, do not treat Part 1 as a warm-up. Treat it as your secret weapon. Dedicate significant time to practicing those patterns and reading comprehension. That is how you get that 99 plus.
So there you have it. The Nmat is a hurdle, but it is a jumpable one. Register early, get your Windows laptop ready, master the art of the whiteboard, and remember, prioritizing mental ability is the strategy of champions. Study smart, not just hard.